226. Page 226. Okay. Page 230, everyone. Page 230.
Jai Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan
Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna
Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan Govinda Gopinatha Radha Ramana Sundar
we read in the scriptures that knowledge upon which gaining we have nothing to look for, upon, like, to inquire about that knowledge upon which knowing we don't have to know anything anymore, or about that gain which we can gain, nothing is to be gained anymore. And no doubt what we have just sung, the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, so high, is like that knowledge, what is not so, say, general knowledge in the world, that the highest knowledge or the highest thinking is Radha and Krishna, the divine couple, in their world of Goloka Vrindavan, and that we are all servants eventually to go to that realm, to be a part in their divine pastimes as particles of actually Srimati Radharani, who is the highest, most beautiful, most wonderful, adorable servitor of Lord Krishna, who is the enjoyer, who is the only enjoyer. And so to know that God is not an old man who's sitting on a chair with some staff or rod and say, this is good, this is bad, and if you don't do it, you get punished. We are here addressing the Lord of Love, who says, we have so many things that are maybe wrong in us, but surrender to me. Know that it is me who is the Supreme, who is the creator of everything, who by His will everything happening for everybody. Just surrender to me and serve me, even though so many things maybe we are attached to or are not completely pure in us. That is what the Lord wants. Acknowledge me. Acknowledge my supremacy. Acknowledge my love for you all. And that is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came for 500 years ago, as Radha and Krishna combined, as a sannyasi, as a devotee, to say, please, be humble with your karma, be tolerant with your environment, give honor to everybody, because in the world everybody is very ignited by their ego when there's something, what you say, wrong. So give honor to them and don't expect any honor for yourself. And then always chant the holy name of Krishna, means Radha and Krishna in their pastimes. Because with our mind, we all the time need to think something, or it is, want to tell a story. But the Hare Krishna Mahamantra makes our mind pure, calm. And that is what, if the mind is calm, then we can do service, then we can see the will and the flow of Krishna everywhere, and we connect with that without anything thinking a narrative in my mind. I don't like it. This people is wrong. I have some objection. That is the purpose of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the most important mantra in this age of Kali. There is no other way, because yes, God is a person, yes, and He has His eternal pastimes as a reflection here, but it is a perverted, a shadow reflection here in the material world. What is being going on in the spiritual world must be like that, because everything what is here is the origin is coming from the spiritual world. Only there is no ego there. There is no selfishness there. Everybody is serving each other, and the divine couple, of course, everybody is serving there. So I just was inspired to say something about that. But we have our wonderful Vira Prabhu, who's reading something from the scriptures today. And Vira, what you please? Jai, Vira Prabhu, Ki Jai.
Yes, Jai, Jai Shavati, Jai Jai Shavati, Jai. So I thought we'd read a little bit from, this is Devotional Treasure Chest by Shavati Samaj, and this chapter is chapter 3, which is called Transcendental Chronicle.
Vira, can you speak a little bit louder and a little bit slower?
And, this one is particularly relevant. Well, everything is relevant, but this one is particularly relevant, I think, to everyone. So, let's see. One day, all the top sages and saints were assembled on the banks of the Ganges, and Parikshit Maharaj put the question. He said, "Death is sure for me within 7 days. How can I utilize my time? There are so many authorities, and by the grace of the Lord, you have fortunately assembled here. I am at your disposal. Help me, so that after this certain death, I may attain blissful life." So Maharaj Parikshit, he received a curse that he would die within 7 days. So because of this, he was in a state of panic, because he thought, he's a king, you know, he has so much abundance, he has so much wealth, but his death is coming in 7 days, and he's asking this person, he's asking that person, what's the best way to utilize my time? And each person he's asking is giving some guidance. One person is saying, "Oh, you should do this." One person is saying, "You should study the Vedas. You should do this." Each person from their point of realization is giving their guidance. But because each guidance is conflicting with the other guidance, he's more confused. Because this is not an easy question, so everyone's giving their point of view, and then he's becoming more confused. So he's approaching the assembly with everyone present. And Sukadeva Goswami, he sits, everyone accepts his position as the person who knows the most, and then he gives his instructions. So he says, he's telling them, "Please help me, so that after this certain death I may attain blissful life." Then, according to their stages of realizations, they gave advice. Some said yoga is the best. Some recommended tapasya or austerity. Some recommended dhanam or charity, and so on. But Parikshit Maharaj again very humbly submitted, "You, of course, please give some unanimous verdict, so that it will be easy for me to follow." He said, "I want you all to come to some agreement and tell me what is the best use, because it's all conflicting, your advice is conflicting." They were discussing and consulting amongst themselves, but they were of different opinions. At that very time, Sukadeva Goswami appeared, a young man of 16. He was only 16 years old, and he did not even have any clothes on. He was without dress, quite naked, but a good figure. He was a beautiful, stout, and strong. Appearing as though half mad, he entered the assembly. Some boys ran behind him, and they threw dust on him, and they thought, "This is just a madman." The whole assembly stood in respect, and the boys disappeared. So just as a little comment, that the children, seeing this person who is young and naked, they were throwing dust on him. So this tells us that spiritual wisdom is not measured easily. Someone may appear to be of high spiritual position, but he may not be. And someone may be, as Sukadeva Goswami, he's naked, young boy. So by material measurement would be regarded as someone who doesn't have wisdom, right? He's 16, so that's very young. People don't really respect someone who's young because he hasn't had too much wisdom in his life. And also naked, so he's not following the conventions of society. He doesn't follow basics, put clothes on, that's quite basic. So children naturally seeing this, they throw dust on him. But as soon as he enters the assembly, the people who have real spiritual knowledge, they accept his position because they can see this is a person of caliber. So just so that one can see spiritual wisdom is not always, doesn't manifest itself externally. So you can't always measure it. The whole assembly stood in respect, and the boys disappeared. All conjectured, this must be that Sukha, about whom we have heard about. We haven't seen him yet. Perhaps that boy has come. So all of them, they rose in respect, and then they could recognize him. Vyasadeva was also there. So Sukadeva Goswami was welcomed, and unanimously was given the chair of the speaker. Vyasadeva, of course, is respected by everyone and renowned person. So if Vyasadeva is accepting him, then everyone can see, okay, this is a qualified person. Generally, the spiritually qualified can see other people who are spiritually qualified. That's one way of identifying. Also, there's also different ways mentioned in the scriptures of how to try to identify someone, but a qualified devotee of the Lord can generally see the qualification of another. So then all the leading gentry of religious India of the time unanimously said, "We are all very eager to hear from this youth. Maharaj, you are greatly fortunate. Your fortune has attracted him. So put questions to him and let us all hear submissively. We have a very good opportunity and we want to hear him speak. We have waited for a long time to know his realization. In his eyes there is no distinction of man or woman. Women do not see anything in his eyes, and that they feel the necessity of shyness. Such is his vision, which is not fixed in any worldly plane." So that is one reason why he was sort of not putting clothes on, because his state of consciousness was completely removed from the world. So he didn't even distinguish between man, woman, dogs. He's just seeing the soul within every person. All is meant for something transcendental. Therefore, we're very eager to know his realization. Put your questions to him, they said. Sukadeva Goswami also gave his own introduction. He expressed his own position. Parinishtito pi nirgunya. I was standardly trained in transcendental knowledge, and I am established there. But Uttama Shloka Lilaya Grihita Cheta Rajarse. My attention has been forcibly snatched to some higher cosmos, above the transcendental impersonal conception. Generally, the philosophers of this world take the transcendental to be impersonal. Infinite and zero are of the same characteristic. So it is an area in which we cannot have any entrance as a subject for investigation. Ourselves as the subject stand far below. We can only conjecture some hazy thing. This is the position of the jiva soul. So the philosopher's view is only something cloudy like the sky. Just as an interesting side note, that the Muslim people find it a little bit difficult to see the way that we characterize Krishna. Sort of, if they ever see a picture of Krishna as the charioteer of Arjuna, they find it inconceivable, because for them they say, you know, God should not have any humanly characteristics. So when they see Krishna as a charioteer or Arjuna, speaking to some of them, you know, they laugh. They think, how is that possible? How is it possible that God himself would be the charioteer of a man? For them it's inconceivable. But the answer that we give is that God himself, he wants to experience the you know, the lila, the pastimes of what it's like to serve his devotees. He likes that feeling, that the feeling of love that he gets from serving his devotees. He's showing by example. It says in the Bhagavad Gita that he comes to show and lead by example. What a great man does, a common man will follow. So he himself sets the standard. This is what should be done, and people see, oh, Krishna is a great man, I should follow in the example. And the spiritual sky is seen by the philosopher as one sees an infinite blue sky. That is Brahman, or non-differentiated, non-specific, infinite space, which we can not have any practical experience of, or nirgun. That is the summation of all negation. To us, positive experience is confined only to this world. This ear experience, this eye experience, this touch experience, etc. Our property here is the sum total of these experiences, plus something drawn from the mental world. So it's we perceive the world through the senses, and it's filtered through our mind. So our mind is like almost like some like glasses which are tinted, you know, with colors. So someone who has pink glasses, pink tinted glasses, will see the world as slightly pink. This is slightly, you know, everyone, they live in their own world. Someone will see those flowers and say, wow, they're so beautiful. Someone else will be sitting in the same room and be looking at the elephants. Someone will be sitting in the same room and be looking at the words. Everyone is seeing the world in different ways, and everyone is interpreting the same thing differently. So everyone in here, 10 people, and they could be, some people could be thinking about something else, or interpreting the words differently. So our property here is the sum total of these experiences, plus something drawn from the mental world. This is saguna. And all this experience fails to have any conjecture of that background. So that is nirguna. All our current experiences are absent there. Therefore, someone, the spiritual requires that one develops some quality inside, because if you yourself are not qualified to see, you will not see the spiritual, because you, the person perceiving, is not qualified to see. So you have to remove the glasses to be able to see what is there. The spiritual is not measured materially in terms of just the senses, it's beyond the senses. So it takes some qualification to see. Spiritual qualification, that is. All our current experiences are absent there. This positive knowledge of our experience is completely absent there. So that is nirguna. Or so we are told by the philosophers of this world. Sukadeva Goswami said, Parinishthitopi nirgunya. Pari means sampurna rupena, perfectly. I am perfectly established there. I am established there always in connection with what you call negation of all these positive things we experience in this world. Uttama shloka lilaya grihi ta cheta rajarse. But O king, here I give vent to my real stage. Uttama shloka lilaya. Some extraordinary higher wave or current has carried me to some other world. And that cannot be part of this world of experience. Of that I am sure. Uttama, ut means udata tamu udetamu. No nescience is to be traced there, no darkness, no ignorance. That sphere is all light, all knowledge, and all else is below. That is the foundation. He is all consciousness, pure consciousness. Nothing mundane is to be traced there. This is beyond all conceptions of ignorance and beyond misconception. Uttama shloka. Shloka means charitra, conduct. A flow of life is to be traced there, which cannot be compared with anything of this mundane jurisdiction. So the Vaishnavas will say, or religious people in general, that from consciousness life is coming, not from matter. These are completely opposite. There's atheistic and theistic. Atheistic is to say mundane matter is first and then consciousness is coming. Theistic is to say consciousness was there originally and then matter came. So these are the opposite ways of seeing things. Sukadeva Goswami continued, I am captured totally by the charm of that sort of life, that sort of pastime, and that sort of flow of nectarine activity. I have come in connection with this, and my understanding has been forcibly carried and engaged there. I cannot come away. I cannot come down from that charming land. Akyanam yad adi tavan. So I had to come to my father, Vedavyas. Before this, he tried his best to take me to that direction, but I did not care to know about it. I had to return to my father, and as a regular student, I had to study the ways and nature of that higher entity. Tad aham te buddhi dasyami maha purusiko bhavan. You, O king, are a great personality, and it is befitting you that it is befitting you have the highest prospect of life, the highest end. You would be fortunate to receive that sort of attainment. So it's interesting in some ways to see the difference culturally of Maharaj Parikshit, who is someone who has he has a lot of spiritual wisdom, and before he knows, in 7 days I will die. So what does he do? He seeks people who are spiritual and he says, how can you help me? But if you look culturally at today's society, you will see if someone says you have 7 days to live, they will try to maximize their enjoyment because they see, I've only got 7 days, I need to enjoy as much as possible. So these are opposite ways of thinking. One is to think that sense gratification, or to enjoy generally, with the senses, that is the aim of life. Therefore, if your life is ending, you must enjoy even more quickly. If you assume that sense gratification is not the highest, that there is something else, there's something higher, then it makes sense to try to figure out, what is this? There must be something else. It's not sense gratification. So I have to find some way of some spirituality or something higher. It's not just, how can I try to cram as much enjoyment in 7 days as possible. So that's what Parikshit Maharaj is doing. He's someone who has some spiritual realization. He knows, I've got 7 days to live. What is the best method of attaining spiritual progress? And that's what he's getting advice on this. But culturally, it's the opposite of what some people they want to do nowadays. So I had to come to my father, Vedavyas. Before this, he tried his best to take me to that direction, but I did not care to know about it. I had to return to my father, and as a regular student, I had to study the ways and nature of that higher entity. Tad aham ti buddhasyami mahaparo shiko bhavan. You, O king, are a great personality, and it is befitting you have the highest prospect of life, the highest end. You would be fortunate to receive that sort of attainment. I shall try to give you the news of my experience of the transcendental Leela, of the reality, the beautiful, divine love. With this introduction, Sukadeva Goswami began to deliver his lecture, which continued for 7 days. So Sukadeva Goswami essentially says to him, what I will try to give you, the highest aspect of spirituality is love of Godhead. That is the highest. So that's what he tells him in a nutshell. Because that is what he is experiencing. So he says, I will try to give that to you. It's not a guarantee, but he will try. With this introduction, Sukadeva Goswami began to deliver his lecture, which continued for 7 whole days. Through different questions and answers, Krishna Lila was established. All the religious authorities of the time very submissively gave their hearing to the teachings of Sukadeva Goswami, which would become known as Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Lila is meant for whom? The Lila is transcendental. It has much similarity with the lustful movements of this world, but it is just the opposite. Atmendriya priti vancha tare bali kama. Krishendriya priti icha tare premat nama. Ataiva kama preme bahuta antara kama andatama prema nirmala bhaskara. For the souls in bondage, their aspiration is mostly men for women and women for men. Because we find there the most food for the senses. The food of the major portion of our senses is to be found there. So the natural attraction is there in all of nature, even in the trees, the beasts, the human beings. We find this everywhere, but it is a perverted reflection of reality. And just the opposite, like Sumeru and Kumeru, the South Pole and the North Pole, one is desperately searching after sense pleasure, and the other is the opposite, the highest dedication one can command for the satisfaction of the center. So essentially, it's saying that the desire to enjoy is coming from God himself, because God wants to enjoy. The difference is that God has created you, so you exist to serve him. He is the true enjoyer, and through service to him you will feel satisfied. It's almost, we're here almost imitating, trying to be small little gods. Everyone wants to be a small god, you know, a small ruler of his own body and of things around him. In this plane where we are in the midst of provincialism, selfishness, and extended selfishness, but in the infinite, extended selfishness has no value. I may be self-interested or have at heart the interest of family members or society or the country or the whole globe or even the whole solar system, but that is only an infinitely small part. In comparison with the infinite existence, it has no value. So what is the conception of the whole? We must dedicate everything. Every atom of our energy should go to the center, and nothing else, nothing less than that will do. And what sort of center? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, Atava bahun naitena. What more shall I try to enumerate to you, Arjuna? I am here, I am there, everything is within me. Know that in a nutshell, that whatever you can conceive is contained in but a fraction of me. This is the conception of the infinite. We once read, everywhere there is center, nowhere circumference. Such is the infinite. This offers us some small suggestion of the infinite. So whatever the smallest energy I can command, it must be directed towards the center who represents the whole infinite and more. So many infinites constitute a part of him. Yet, how are we to connect with that most difficult to conceive reality? It can only come down by the deductive method, Shrota Panta, and never by the empirical method. So in other words, spiritual realization comes down because God himself gives that to you. It is not a question of you forcibly grabbing it. You cannot force God to give you anything. So therefore, even if you, for example, people say, oh, sometimes I pray to God, He didn't give me anything. Because God is not there to give you what you think you need from Him. Imagine it's like a child saying to the father, you will give me this chocolate bar, or please give me this chocolate bar. The father is not under any obligation to give the chocolate bar to the child. This is strange mentality. So you as the son or daughter of God, He doesn't have obligation to give you what you ask. And also, if a child does not know what he wants, sometimes a child thinks, child might think, oh, I want 20 chocolate bars today. But if the father gives him 20 chocolate bars, he's damaging that child. So we think, oh, God, I want a new car. Why? I prayed to Him so hard, I was crying, I prayed every single day, and He did not give me the car. That is to think that we know what is best for ourselves. Even if He gave you the car, that's doesn't mean that that's something good for you. So it's not a question of people sometimes misunderstand that prayer is not something to get something. It's there to show your love to the Lord. That's what it's about. It's not a tool, like a hammer, that where you can try to use it to take something, or use it for your benefit. So He does not have to come to you. However, for very dedicated people who pray, sometimes the prayer will be answered, but it is up to Him when He answers. That's the difference, not up to the person praying. Someone may pray all life and not receive anything, and someone else might pray once and receive something. It's not up to the person praying. He decides, and that's the difference. Okay, I think it's 1:30, so we can finish. But Jai Devotional Treasure Chest ki Jai, Jai Shri Bhakti Rakshaya for Samash ki Jai, Jai Shri Bhakti for Samash ki Jai. Okay, we can do Ārati. Hare Krishna.
Any questions or any additions? Anybody?
So the question, if this question was asked today, in this world, in this current world, where the age of Kali, what would have been the answer to this question if someone has 7 days to live? What should he do?
Well, I think the answer is still relevant today, because all Sukadeva Goswami tells him is that the highest method of spirituality is love of God. So question is still relevant, and answer is still relevant today. So I think it's also a little bit dependent on the person, Everyone is on a different stage. So even though the question and the answer are both relevant, everyone might need different, you could say, prescriptions for spirituality. Everyone is slightly different. Everyone's on a different path. If you tell someone, give up your whole house, your family, everything, just leave everything and go and renounce, this might be too much for someone. So everyone has a different level of spirituality. And you can't force that upon someone. But in general, as Sukadeva Goswami is saying, that the highest form of spirituality is an expression of love towards God. This general statement is relevant always for everyone. And everyone can practice differently, Some people may only be able to give 2% of their time, 2% of their energy. Some people can give more. Some people externally might look like they're giving everything, but internally they're giving very little, There's an example of This is in the Christian faith. It is, I don't know the details, but someone was said, whoever gives the most will gain entrance into heaven. And one king came, and the king gave so many palaces, hundreds of jewels, so much he gave, the king. And everyone around was very impressed. They said, wow, look at this man, he's giving so much. He will definitely gain entrance into heaven. Later on, there was an old elderly lady, and they asked, have you got anything to give? And all she had was a lemon, so she gave the lemon. And the people kind of laughed, you know, look, she's giving a lemon. This man, he gave thousands of jewels. What is this lemon that you've given? It's nothing. At the end, I believe Jesus was the witness. He said, actually, the lady will gain entrance into heaven because she gave only a lemon, but it was everything. So it's not so much about quantity, it's about how much are you able to give. In this example, the lady gave all her possessions. She gave what she had. She didn't have too much. May not externally look like a lot, but for her it was a lot. Whereas the king, he gave a lot in terms of quantity, but he had a lot more. So he gave maybe 5% of his wealth. The lady gave 100%. So thereby showing that everyone, according to what they have, they shall surrender accordingly. That's what it says in Bhagavad Gita. It says, Krishna says, whoever surrenders accordingly, I give them revelation accordingly. If this person gives 20%, I give them 20%. So this is, I think, the way to understand this. But in terms of the question, I think it's still relevant, and the answer is relevant, and it's for everyone to meditate on it and to sincerely pray and to see how much am I giving. Only you know really how much one is giving. No one really knows, because you could give something and it may be nothing to you, or you could give a lot, it may be nothing to you. You could give something small and that might be everything for you. No one else can tell really. It's a personal journey, and you know, we entered the world by ourselves and we will leave by ourselves, and there's no way around it. You know, our family cannot assist us in this. Our journey is alone, and the end is also alone. So, yeah. Not that it sounds a bit negative, but it's...
No, it's not negative, and also the Lord says, I am more your own than anybody can be your own, that you have any time experienced. He's already everywhere, so we will never be alone. Maybe many people or family or dear ones when we go to die, but we will never be alone. Not any second in this life, or when we die, or the next. That is the infinite, unlimited capacity of the beloved Lord. And if we realize that in all our endeavors, like maybe people have a lot of family and parties and maybe somebody searching for a spiritual life, understanding that this life, in material life, is based on illusion. One time it is here, then it's gone. You cannot build your existence on it, really. And also it's based on ego. Like Vira Chandra said also, do we want freedom for the senses, to do whatever we want, like a bread, like a spoiled bread, we do this, that, or do we freedom from the senses, to have some discipline, to be not afraid of being alone, not alone with the Lord, and, you know, being content with what is. This is a practice. If you're addicted to drinking or smoking, or it's a practice. But when you abstain from it, then you're so happy that you don't have to drink anymore, don't have to smoke anymore, or don't have to go around for intimate relationship thinking that will make you happy. Spiritual life is reading the scriptures, and there the Lord reveals himself in it. And then you go about your life and thinking the Lord is with me, he's everywhere, he's also with everybody, and I do something good. I speak something nice, I be kind, I be beautiful, I serve. Then we go in another platform, in another realm, where the soul is and where the Lord is. There's two waves. One is the wave of karma, when we do things for ourselves, not acknowledging the world, the Lord. Then we get reaction for that. That is karma. And when we be on the wave of prema, what Vira Chandra explains so nicely, love of God, what is the ultimately goal of everybody, that we can see, wow, everybody have gotten so much from God. There's such a wonderful environment. There's so much, I mean, relatively, the environment with all the atom bombs and wars, that also has to be there, because people has to somehow play out their karmic power and money lust and greed. That has to be. Everybody has their freedom to live a way he or she chooses. That is the choice of the Lord. Because we cannot love the Lord if he is a Lord of only rules and regulations. You have to do that, that, don't do that. And there has to be some freedom, that out of freedom we come back to him. And that is the path of self-realization, that we see what is my faculties, my thinking, my speaking, my activities, what I do with my body. What are they able to do, and for what can I do it for? Vira Chandra said also, like, how do we see the world? That is not how it is is how we see it. That is how it's very different, everybody's different. But for transcendental spiritual seekers, they see everywhere as God. He wants us back, he's looking for us, we are looking for him. And so we can live in a content platform of living without wanting all these things for sense gratification and selfish greed, anger, envy, to play that out. No, we learn how to control, we learn how to discipline ourselves and be very content with in a humble mood, everything what's happening, and try to serve there, and try to give love there, give some kindness there. Then we are on that flow, and then that is the freedom of the senses, of the mind, of the intelligence. And what Vira Chandra also said, that is what the Lord wants for us, that love, because he is the Lord of love. He's the beautiful, beloved, best friend of all of us. He is your best friend, and he lives inside you, and you can always know to make a choice between good and bad. Always choose good. Then you feel that is a satisfaction in yourself. That is to serve, that is a fulfillment in yourself. You're made like that ananda, and ultimately ecstasy. All these things. And that we learn from the scriptures, and listen to the devotees. They read the scriptures. And when a sadhu comes, a holy person, then we say, yes, he brings ananda. He lives that life, he's pure, he has direct connection with the Lord. Because that's what we want, connection with the Lord as our best friend. Connection, some knowledge, service, and surrender. That is a wonderful, adventurous, courageous purpose of life, actually.
Okay.
I think we have Ārati now.
Yeah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Bhaja Sri Bhakta Prabhu Maharaj ki jai, Rādhā Srimad Chaitanya ki jai, Navatīrtha ki jai, Dalvan Shikshara Saraswati ki jai, Tariya Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Samveta Vaishnava Mangala ki jai, Gaurāṅga ki jai, Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Jai
It's